Quinn is my name. I'm a recent graduate who has finally made it in life, but I have to thank my father, Nicholas, who is no longer with us. This narrative is about the most horrific time in my life, which occurred just before my father's death. My mother died when I was 4 years old. My father has since taken care of me and my brother Isaac. Isaac stopped communicating with us as soon as he reached 21. He didn't want to work and wanted his father to support him and his then-girlfriend Zoe. Yes, Dad is wealthy, but it's the principle that counts. Dad refused and ejected him. Since then, it's just been me and my father. I had a lot of hopes and goals when I left for college. I was having a fantastic time studying and socializing with my friends. When my father had a heart attack, tragedy struck, and I was forced to return home with him. He was really weak at the time and needed assistance around the house. So I moved back in and managed to balance my academics with taking care of Dad. Dad always expressed regret, saying, "You have to give up a lot for me, Quinn. I wish I weren't so ill." "Don't say anything like that, Dad. I dislike seeing you depressed. I'm here voluntarily because I want to take care of you." "Quinn, I consider myself fortunate to have had you as a child. I'm not sure what went wrong with Isaac. He no longer contacts me or shows any interest in me." Dad was always upset about Isaac's absence. I contacted Isaac when he became ill and explained the situation to him. I also informed Zoe, who had recently married Isaac. They never called or texted back. Dad was upset, and I wanted to be his support so that the agony would be lessened. However, Dad's condition worsened, and he suffered a second stroke, which immobilized him and rendered him bedridden. I contacted Isaac and spoke to him until he said he was coming. Isaac and Zoe arrived with their stuff and pledged to stay. They wanted to take care of Dad. Trust me, folks, both me and my dad were overjoyed. However, that night, when I went home from my night job, I saw my stuff lying outside. On the porch, Isaac and Zoe were waiting for me. I was really perplexed and terrified. "What's going on, Isaac?" I inquired. "Why are my belongings on display?" "I'm not sure what you mean. You will no longer live in this house. We're evicting you." "What the hell is going on, Isaac? What exactly are you saying? You cannot dismiss me in this manner." "We certainly can." "Quinn, what were your thoughts? Did you expect us to stand still as you took our entire inheritance?" "Certainly not. Nicholas needs special attention now that he is immobile, and you won't be there to do it. We'll take excellent care of Dad. You are no longer welcome here. You will leave if you know what is best for you. We already have your belongings." I couldn't believe what I was seeing at first. Isaac and Zoe had undoubtedly thrown my belongings out and were refusing to let me in. I tried everything I could to persuade them otherwise, but I was outnumbered. They were not going to let me back in. I started crying because I could feel my frustration pouring out. I knew Isaac was only doing this for the sake of inheritance. He wasn't taking care of Dad properly, so I wasn't going down without a fight. My dad required my assistance. I explained, "Please, Isaac, do not do this. Dad requires my assistance. I know you two won't be able to properly care for him. Please allow me to enter. I don't mind if you keep your entire inheritance. Do you think I'm a moron? I'm sure you'll fight me over the inheritance. However, if I kick you out, Dad will believe you abandoned him due to his health. Then you will not receive a dime from his inheritance. Quinn, you may say goodbye to all your dreams. My wife and I will receive the entire sum of money right now." "That's correct. We no longer require your assistance. We can either pay someone to care for Nicholas or place him in a nursing facility. I believe we will choose the latter. I don't want to live with someone who is ill." "What? You want to kick Dad out of his own house? Zoe, how do you do it? Isaac, how do you feel about this? Why am I not Quinn?" My wife and I both agree. We do not require the presence of a sick person. Every week, we have to throw parties and get together. Having a sick person in the house would not fit with our way of life. Therefore, he would have to leave. Dad doesn't have much time, Isaac. He's going to die. To him, this mansion is everything. Please, I beseech you, let him draw his last breath here. Place him in a nursing home. I don't mind if you kick me out. Just leave Dad alone. Quinn, it's not up to you what we do with Dad, and you have no choice except to accept our decision to kick you out. Dad can't protect you now because he's bedridden, and you don't have the courage to stand up to me. As if finding my predicament amusing, Isaac and Zoe started to chuckle at me. They most likely did enjoy it. They were both amused and thrilled that I had nowhere to go. I knew they'd been intending to kick me out for a while. They simply did not want to face my father's fury, so they remained silent for so long. In addition, they now know when my father will die. As a result, they decided to act quickly and kick me out. The following statements made by Zoe to Isaac confirmed my presumptions. Finally, she concluded, "This witch will be taught a lesson." Nicholas continued to protect this worthless girl for nothing. "I'm sure if we let her stay here, she'll fill his head with ideas. Then Nicholas would sign everything over to her. Don't be concerned, Zoe. That will never happen to me. No, I'm not going to make sure we get half of the inheritance. I'll make certain we get everything. We'll make up a narrative about Quinn abandoning Dad because she didn't want to be his caregiver any longer. Then we'll step in and show Dad how much we care. Yes, I can pretend to be concerned about him, but I won't be able to put up with him for long. We need to get him to alter his mind quickly so that we may put him in a nursing home." Zoe and Isaac were open about their nefarious plans in front of me. They mistook me for a helpless woman who couldn't accomplish anything. They expected me to be terrified and helpless. I'm not going to lie to you. I did feel helpless, but not for long. I always told Dad I didn't want anything from him. I just needed him to improve. I felt helpless since I didn't want them to reject and ignore Dad in such a way. Since my father couldn't even stop me from being kicked out, he was now incapacitated and had no choice but to believe whatever lies my brother Logan's wife had cooked up about me. I begged God that my father would not believe them. In the end, I didn't cause any more difficulty to assure my father's safety. I simply gathered my belongings and contacted a buddy who arrived to pick me up. This friend drove me to her place, where I was residing temporarily. I was worried out of my mind since Isaac wouldn't even let me say goodbye to Dad. It stung to think I'd never see him again. What could I possibly do? I'm just a regular college student with no money to hire a lawyer or anything. I wouldn't have a place to stay if it weren't for my close friend. I would have had to live on the streets with nothing but my clothing. I decided to take a chance the next morning and went to visit my father's lawyer. I knew he was a wonderful man who would assist me. It was possible that my brother had contacted him first. Nonetheless, I decided to take a chance. I went to visit him and informed him about Isaac kicking me out. I was sobbing uncontrollably since I couldn't see my father anymore. The lawyer was sympathetic and patient with me. He stated, "I see your brother has been particularly cruel to you, Quinn. Not only that, but he was terrible to your father. I'm sure they lied to him about your whereabouts. I'm at a loss for what to do. I'm worried about my father, and I don't want him to believe you've abandoned him. I also want to make sure he is okay. Quinn, I understand how you feel. I pledge to do all in my power to assist you. Nicholas is not only my client, but also a friend. If your brother had cared to stay in touch, he would have known." Yes, the lawyer my father chose is a family friend. They met approximately 2 years ago at a golf club where he used to play. They became friends because they shared interests, and the lawyer guy used to hang out with my dad when I was away at college. I'd met him a few times but didn't know him well, but I knew he was a good friend of Dad's. Hearing the man echo that remark gave me some optimism. "Yes, sir," I said. "I know my father thought of you as a friend. That's why he hired you to begin with. He is also aware that you deal with morals." "That is correct, Quinn. I don't always keep work and personal morals separate, especially when my customer is a friend. That's why I'm willing to assist you in any manner I can. I'm going to his place tomorrow with the idea of paying him a visit. Do you need me to relay any information to you? I vow not to let your brother into the room. You must, however, exercise caution." Isaac and Zoe would try to eavesdrop on the talk. I have zero faith in them. They are the embodiment of the devil. Don't be concerned, Quinn. I'm a retired lawyer. I have a lot of tricks on my sleeve. What I tell your father will be completely unknown to Isaac and Zoe. Good. Please inform him that I did not abandon him. Also, make sure Dad understands that Isaac and Zoe want to place him in a nursing facility once he turns over his inheritance to them. I don't mind if he doesn't give me anything, but I don't want him to die in a nursing facility. The lawyer and I went over everything I wanted Dad to know. It provided me some comfort to know that I could still communicate with Dad, even though I couldn't see him. Calling him was out of the question. I called and Isaac answered, saying, "Don't bother calling this number, Quinn." I took Dad's phone away. I've kept him away from his phone since he suffered a nasty stroke and doesn't need any extra stress. You're telling the truth, Isaac. You stole Dad's phone, so he wouldn't find out the truth. Return the phone to Dad, Isaac. It is his own property. You have no right to keep it as a hostage. Quinn, you have no say in the matter. Remember, you were the one who fled while I stayed to look after Dad. Whatever happened, everyone would be aware of this truth. Dad is obviously distressed. Please, Isaac, I'm pleading with you. Allow me to speak with Dad. I can't bear the thought that he believes I abandoned him. Isaac, please. I swear not to mention my ancestors. I'm not convinced. I'm no longer taking chances. All of his phone calls will be routed through me. Dad is only permitted to contact his lawyer in order to amend his will. No one else will be able to speak with him. You are free to do whatever you want when he dies. I swear, I won't even disrupt the funeral. That's how callous my brother was toward me. Believe me, I didn't want to communicate with the lawyer behind his back. That's why, before making any decisions, I called Dad and spoke with Isaac. When I realized Isaac was essentially removing all forms of connection with Dad, I knew I had to act. That's when I decided to meet with the lawyer. I will be eternally grateful to him because he promised to assist me. And wow, did he deliver? It took Isaac and Zoe 2 months to place Dad in a care home. Yes, only a month. Do you understand why? I'll explain. But first, let me share some wonderful news. Dad was able to reach me through the nursing home workers because he was now in the nursing home. Dad was still speaking clearly, so Isaac and Zoe couldn't have prevented the staff from hearing him. They weren't going to visit Dad anyway because their plan had already been accomplished. When I met my father, he told me that I had signed everything over to Isaac and Zoe. That is why they evicted me from the residence. When those two fools told me you abandoned me, I didn't believe them. My lawyer's explanation of their plan only confirmed my concerns. Why did you sign everything over to Isaac and Zoe, Dad? You could have waited a bit longer because you signed over everything that got you here. I instructed your lawyer to warn you. Quinn, he did warn me. I took the deliberate decision to grant Isaac's wish in order for him to place me here. I desired to reside in a nursing home. What my father said surprised me greatly. I wasn't expecting him to want to leave the house. He always wanted to die at home and in peace. He told me that when he initially became ill, so his unexpected change of heart left me perplexed. I asked, "Dad, do you want to live in a nursing home? But why is this so? You always wanted to be at home, near all of your mom's memories." I know, Quinn, but things have changed. The more I drag out the inheritance problem, the further away I will be from you. I knew if I got out of the house, I'd be able to see you. Did you come here on purpose to see me, Dad? Yes, my child. I wanted to be near the only family member who truly cared about me. I didn't want to die amid people who were solely interested in my money. My mission has been successfully completed. My eyes welled up as I heard my father's comments. I had no idea he would go to such lengths to be with me. He truly desired that I remain by his side until the end. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to last. My father died only 5 months afterward. He was already frail and in great discomfort. I'm just thankful he's with his mother and no longer suffering. Isaac maintained his word and skipped Dad's funeral. I borrowed money from my friends to pay for my father's funeral. I vowed to repay them when I received my next paycheck. They were all really supportive, and everyone attended the burial. Surprisingly, a large number of relatives attended. I'm sure some of them came there to see if they had any inheritance. I was already a mess and didn't have time to consider why so many people had shown up. My intention was to attend the funeral and then leave before the will was read. I already knew Isaac was going to get everything, so there was no sense for me to stay for something that no longer mattered. Imagine my surprise when, on the morning of my father's funeral, I received a phone call from his lawyer. I picked up the phone, but I wasn't expecting what I was about to hear. He continued, "I know you're leaving after the funeral today, and you're not going to stay for the will reading. I called you because you had to be there for the reading. But why do I have to be there? I am willing to sign anything that states that I will not oppose the will. Simply provide me the papers. Isaac may bask in his newfound wealth. I don't want to be there to witness it. Quinn, I understand, but it has to be this way. You must be there since the will contains a few critical details about you, and I cannot begin the procedure if you are not present. I was perplexed as to why I had to be there during the will reading. It wasn't like I was getting anything out of it. Maybe Dad wanted to give me some sentimental objects, so I wouldn't be able to fight the will. I was perplexed, but I didn't think much of it. The funeral was more important, so I departed with my friend and went to my father's funeral without thinking about what the lawyer had said. The funeral was lovely. Many of my father's friends attended and delivered moving comments. I, too, gave a speech but had to stop because I was crying. Isaac and Zoe were present and appeared to be bored the entire time. When asked, they refused to give a speech. After the funeral, Isaac and Zoe dashed to the lawyer to inquire about the inheritance difficulties. Imagine their amazement when the lawyer informed them that the will had to be read out in front of everyone. They were perplexed, but they decided to wait it out. When the lawyer finally read the will, something surprising emerged that left me perplexed. Dad left me everything, but only $1,000 for Isaac. Isaac and Zoe burst out laughing in front of everyone as soon as the will was read. They began to yell and exclaim, "This is impossible. This is not possible. The entire heirloom should be mine." "It would be mine," Dad assured. "Oh my goodness, this can't be true. Quinn can't have it all. I'm sure she bribed or manipulated the lawyer. Nicholas promised to give us the inheritance. Quinn, what have you done? I am certain you had a hand in this. I'm going to sue you. I believe Nicholas drafted a letter that would answer your questions. You should wait till I finish reading it. I am confident that your concerns will be addressed." When Isaac and Zoe heard this, they had no choice but to remain silent. I was still stunned and had no idea what to say. Everyone in the room was waiting for the letter to be read aloud. I could tell their interest had peaked significantly. The lawyer then read my father's letter. It stated, "I'll be gone by the time this letter is read. It's most likely my funeral, and everyone has come to pay their respects. I appreciate you all coming here and reminiscing about those amazing days I had with you. I can promise you that these recollections helped me in my final days. Another person assisted me in getting through my final days. Quinn, my daughter, was the one who called. My son Isaac has probably told you about how my daughter abandoned me when I became bedridden. Quinn's deception in earning me the entire inheritance. Those are all lies. Quinn did nothing except stand by my side when I most needed her. My son placed me in a nursing facility after I agreed to leave him all of my assets. Quinn didn't leave me, but Isaac and Zoe evicted her. Isaac and Zoe wouldn't even allow me to contact her until I promised to give them the inheritance voluntarily. Isaac and Zoe abandoned me in a nursing facility as soon as I signed the documents and never returned. But I was relieved because I could finally see my daughter. I tore the new manuscript and burned it to pieces when I went to the nursing home. Isaac and Zoe deserved nothing from me. I left this letter to tell you everything, to reveal the truth about my son Isaac and his wife Zoe. Greed can drive people to extremes, including neglecting one's own father. Meanwhile, despite knowing that I had signed away my fortune to Isaac, my daughter stuck with me. I didn't tell her the truth because I didn't want Isaac to discover my plan. Today, I am grateful that my true will was read. Only Quinn deserves everything I've accomplished in this world. I tell Isaac and Zoe that I have no regrets. People like you eventually get what they deserve. Nothing else matters but your karma. Quinn, you are the best daughter I could have wished for. I wish you all your dreams come true and that you enjoy your life to the fullest. Your father adores you." When the letter concluded, several people were overcome with emotion. I began to cry as it became clear that my father had died. I was delighted that he got his own little revenge on Isaac while also standing out for me. What was in the letter made Isaac and Zoe appear extremely scared. They caused havoc by claiming that the letter was a forgery and other such nonsense. But they couldn't do anything to me this time. People around them physically restrained and verbally abused them. Since Isaac and Zoe had invited them, several of their friends were present. Isaac and Zoe most likely wanted to brag about their newfound money to everyone. Instead, their peers disapproved of them. Everyone realized the truth and no longer wanted to be affiliated with them. People verbally abused Isaac and Zoe to the point of tears. After the funeral, I went back to my friend's house. My father's house was transferred to my name after a few days. I had to get my father's lawyer to deliver an eviction notice to Isaac and Zoe. He was now also my lawyer. Isaac and Zoe arrived at my workplace to beg me not to kick them out. They said they didn't have enough money to rent a room and were heavily in debt on their credit cards. So not only was my brother nasty, but he was also ignorant. He believed that because he was receiving a large legacy, they could take out large loans and begin to live a luxury lifestyle even before his father died. Their idiotic strategy came tumbling down when the will was read. They began pleading with me as they were ready to lose their roof. Of course, I didn't listen to them, and I instructed them not to contact me again. After the month was out, I moved into my father's house, which is now mine. After threatening them with legal action, I kicked Isaac and Zoe out. They didn't fight since they couldn't afford a lawyer. They did accuse me of being callous for being so nasty to them. I reminded them of how heartlessly they had kicked me out 8 months before. That quickly silenced them. They sobbed and departed, but they continued to blow up my phone until I blocked them. Now I've started an excellent job near my house, and I'm seeing someone. I can see that my life is getting back on track, and I owe it to my father to do me one last great favor before joining my mother in heaven.